Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. And in this one, we're talking about differences in working in Sweden versus the United States. The reason I'm doing this video is I feel like I got a lot of experience on this. I've been working in Sweden over 7 years. Now I've been working as a teacher for a very long time, and I'm now working in the tech sector for an internet company here in Sweden within the video game industry. So I feel like I have a lot of knowledge on both of these things. Before I get in, I talk about a lot of things I think America can change and things like that, but I gotta give America a huge shout out here because I think Americans work very hard overall. I think the American work, I think it's very, very nice. There's definitely positives and negatives with it, but I attribute a lot of my success in Sweden working here from being American and having this different outlook and a little bit of culture that comes with it. I think people hire Americans in Europe. I think that they see how we work and we have a good reputation internationally. So just something really positive I want to say there. Now, moving into things, we're going to talk about the first thing here, which you notice coming from America, coming to Sweden, is Fika.
You should try the Swedish Fika. Have some coffee up in your coffee cup.
Now, Fika is a time when you sit down, have some coffee, eat like a sandwich with some cheese on it, or have something sweet. But everybody stops what they're doing at the same time. You sit down together and you talk about things. It was funny when I first came to Sweden because it was a studio dog and we worked at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock was Fika, like 10 to 10:30, then we worked again, 12 o'clock was lunch, and then we worked again, and then 2 o'clock was Fika till 2:30, and then we finished again and we finished the day at 4. So it was like having 3 breaks in one day, and I used to think it was really funny. But I want to say something positive about it, which is that when you take time away from something you're working on and come back to it, sometimes I think that's a lot more efficient to get something out of your mind and then come back to it. I find that I have new ideas, I can look at things freshly. When you're working on something for hours and hours at a time, you're going to lose a little bit of that efficiency. So I think it's a good thing. You know, even at the tech job I work at, a lot of times I'm sitting at a computer desk or working on my phone, but I do my best thinking when I'm moving around. I noticed Bill Gates was talking about this too in a recent documentary. So every hour or so, I try to just get up and walk for 1 minute, just to get the blood flowing in my legs and sit back down. As a runner, a lot of my best ideas for YouTube or other things in life come while I'm moving. It's just a way to think. So overall, I think that the idea of Fika is fantastic. It's something you learn to love when you've been living in Sweden for a long time. Next thing I got to talk about is meaning.
Okay, attack on my command! Yes, Captain. That is if you feel like it. I mean, I don't have to decide everything all the time. You want to make a decision?
Oh, maybe it's Ingrid's turn.
Okay.
Ingrid, do you want to attack? You want to attack?
I think we should have a group discussion about this.
That's a good idea!
We should bring in Lasse.
Yes!
Lasse, yes. You want to attack?
And I really feel that Sweden loves their meetings. You know, in Swedish society, it's really important everybody sits down together, discusses something, and that everybody agrees. Where in the American system, you're kind of used to like 1 or 2 people being in charge. You still have discussions and things, but sometimes things are just decided, and then you move on. Now, this might be because I work for a tech company or something else, but just overall, meetings need to happen. I think meetings are important. But sometimes I feel like meetings happen just for the sake of having meetings, and that sometimes meetings can actually be inefficient. This is just an overall like thought in general, any job or business. I think sometimes meetings happen too much. And what can happen in meetings sometimes is that you discuss things, but maybe it's not clear what gets decided, or sometimes you can spend a lot of time discussing one thing and then you don't get all the way through the agenda. I feel like with meetings, you're always going to have some people speak out more than others. Maybe some people are shy and don't want to speak out. Also, it really depends. Maybe one person can be in a good mood or a bad mood, and that can change meetings either way. You know, I used to be in charge of meetings. I've done that. I've sat through other meetings. And even being in charge of meetings, planning the agenda, I just didn't know what kind of meeting I was going to have. And I think, like I said, I think meetings are important, but I think sometimes you have them for the sake of having for everybody to agree. And I think it's hard to have everybody agree, first of all. And sometimes I just wish like something was decided, the information was given to me, and we move forward. Because I feel that I'd rather have that 1.5 to 2 hours where I have meetings to do something else, whatever I decide. I think I could manage that time better and have other people decide. It's just my opinion. Now, working in a startup company, we use a service called Slack, which really removes the need to have a lot of meetings. And when I do have meetings, they're 5 to 10 minutes, or I just say something really quick on the computer, because it saves all your information. You can write somebody a message and share it with the people that need to see it, and everything can be decided when it's the most efficient for that person. They see the information, they respond back. It really eliminates the need for a lot of meetings, and it saves everything you write. So you can always go back through and see what needs to be changed. You can also dial from your computer and have those meetings. It's a really efficient way to do it. Now that being said, going off the meetings, we have to talk about how in Sweden there really isn't like a hierarchy.
We have three main concerns to discuss with you.
Someone forgot to put this coffee cup in the dishwasher. Oh, it says Fredrik on it. Maybe it's yours, Fredrik.
But the dishwasher was full.
So you empty it. Your mother doesn't work here, Mr. Prime Minister.
Okay, you have to excuse me. I must attend to this.
Third time this week. What if Angela Merkel comes and then there are no fresh coffee?
And I think that's a positive thing and then sometimes a negative thing at the same time. I think it's really good that employees are like on the same level sometimes. This is just overall, so I'm not talking about a boss here. But going off this hierarchy rule, sometimes there's something that is a big event or something happening, and it's not always clear like who's responsible for it. So because it's not important for like one Swede to be in charge of it, there might be 4 people that all have a job, but there's nobody making sure it gets done or like a clear thing. And then I find that sometimes in the end, it's a little bit stressful to get it done. Whereas like I prefer to just be in charge of stuff. It's like maybe I'm a control freak, but like I just want to be in charge of it so that I can make sure it gets done correctly. I don't like to depend on other people. It's just like my personality trait. And I think sometimes that's something I can notice with the lower level hierarchy thing, because everybody has to agree again. Sometimes it can be negative. So it's just something I've noticed. Now let's talk about some of the positive things, and that is in Sweden you have a much better work-life balance. Like I definitely noticed working in the States that I worked hard. I worked really hard, but I put everything I had into work, and I always wanted to work well and not lose my job. And I think that's very, very important. Whereas Swedes, I think they see a job. Okay, Americans live to work, and Swedes work to live. Giving you an example, if you're in Sweden, your standard vacation time is going to be 5 weeks. If you're older, you're even going to get more time. And if you're in the States, standard is usually 2 weeks, and you get like probably 3 to 4 weeks if you've been working for a company for a longer and longer time. But if you're somebody working a minimum wage job in the summer, you're lucky if you can get a week vacation time. So it's just something very different. I think it's important actually to get more time off from work, as I did in one of my most popular videos. I think that Americans are more stressed overall, and at the very least, if we could have the standard of 2-week vacation be moved to 3-week vacation, I think it would be much better for a lot of people, and that we would actually save money in the long run due to health costs, because I think that stress and health are kind of going together. So getting an extra week off, I actually think you would see a drop in the medical costs in the United States. But that's my personal opinion. Next thing I want to talk about is being sick in Sweden. A cultural difference I noticed is like, I don't like to take time off from work, and when I'm sick, I'm super stressed about the time that I'm going to miss and what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that in America, like, people didn't care if I was sick or not. I'm kind of an anxious person, if you haven't ever noticed, and so it's really possible that the reason that I'm like, that's my own personality trait, just being anxious. But I've been sick a couple times in Sweden, and I'm like really sick, and I felt like the people took all the pressure off of me and just wanted me to be better. And I was able to relax and be like, I'm not going to have to worry about taking a week off from work, being sick. Everything's going to be taken care of. Swedes are more likely, I think, to take time off from work when they're just a little sick. I think in the States, if you're sick, you're expected to maybe work a little bit through it if you're not running a heavy fever. I think sometimes here Swedes might be lightly sick and they'll stay home for 3 or 4 days to take care of it. So that's a cultural difference I noticed, all going back to the work-life balance, which I think is great overall. And I don't think you can say that like Americans are more work efficient or Swedes are more work efficient, because as I said, you can work really, really hard, but sometimes taking time off from it and coming back to it is a better way. Although, going off of this, you get papa leave or mama leave, and you could take up to like a year off from work.
Just as the Eskimos have 100 words for snow, so the Swedes have 100 expressions for parental leave.
Commander-in-Chief, where are you? Norway has invaded Sweden.
I see. But why are you calling me? I'm on paternity leave. No.
And you have like multiple years to use these work days, which is a really great thing if you're an employee. I think sometimes for companies it can be difficult because they think it's nice, you're protected, they can't get rid of you. But it can definitely maybe have a little bit of an impact on work for companies, because they can hire someone new, but they can't hire someone new to replace you. So they have to find someone that's willing to take a job for 6 months to a year and then not have that job anymore. So it can maybe be difficult sometimes for them to replace people. Now, I think that's something that every company just deals with, they accept. And overall, I think it's awesome because I think that children are really going to benefit from having the parents that love them to death be able to be there for the starts of their lives. I think that's a very important time for a kid to develop. If a kid needs to feel safe and love and all these things, like I mentioned anxiety before, whatever, I think that having your parents there when they're really, really young is an awesome, beneficial thing. So overall, I'm in support of that, so well done, Sweden. Now, all this being said, I just want to talk about the final thing, and I think it's the overall idea of how companies can be successful, and even American companies. You know, my sister and her husband run a very successful company in the United States, and when I spoke to her about her secrets, or their secrets together, on how they have such a great workplace, is because they treat their employees like their family. And I think that's a really awesome thing that stuck with me. Like, they treat their workers really good. They're nice with time off. They share their profits with them. If they're going to school or college, they give them money for books and things like that. And they see their coworkers as they see their employees as their family. You know, there's a lot of companies out there in the United States that cut corners with costs.
Inside this fulfillment center outside Dallas, the focus is Amazon's signature speed, efficiency, and customer satisfaction. But Amazon employee Vicki Shannon Allen says Amazon's work demands are ruining her life.
It's been the ultimate nightmare.
Allen says she processed an average of 600 items an hour on the job here at a broken workstation that injured her back.
If you cut the amount of money you're paying your employees and you cut costs at every corner, you're going to be profitable and you're going to make money. But if you take care of your employees at the same time, you are going to create employees that are going to love you, that are going to work for you, that will go through a wall and fight for you. Like, that's something I wish that more companies would get. And if you look at higher tech companies, I think like YouTube and Google, that are already offering parental leave because we don't have parental leave in the United States, I think companies, especially tech companies, are going to shift more and take better care of their employees, because when you're in company you work for takes care of you, your kid's sick and you can stay home and take care of them, and do certain things, you will work as hard as you can for that company. I have no doubt about that. And I think as more American companies learn that, the work-life balance is going to be better. I'm happy for my experience being in the United States and learning the hard work ethic, because I've been working since I was 12. I had a job reffing kids soccer games when I was 12, and then I worked not full-time, but I worked about 20 hours a week when I was 16, and it really taught me a work ethic. I always had a job, I always had money coming in, and it taught me a lot. It made me more successful, because I learned that the best thing in life is to show up. To show up and be willing to work and be dependable, and no matter what job you have, be the best at it. If I was washing dishes, I was going to be the best dishwasher ever, because I just believe you should put care and love into what you do. So that's my 2 cents, guys. I hope you liked this video. Write what you think below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's talk about it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey, peace.